Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. I want to get into these disturbances. This one looks like it will become Alberto. I do right off the bat want to let you know that we're thinking of our friends in Guatemala, El Salvador. There's been a ton of moisture, especially on the Pacific side. Structures, homes have been lost. There's been intense river flooding and runoff. So just starting out with that, this is a life-threatening flood situation, even down toward parts of Nicaragua, keeping a close eye on Honduras. And we'll see some flooding. We had some flooding yesterday in Belize. So this could be days in rain. So I just wanted to start with that. I'll get into the rain totals in this, but this area will be lifting up to the north. It should become Alberto. Hurricane hunters, the planes, may get into it today to give us a better idea of what's going on. And then this disturbance over here is actually going to try to work its way back toward the southeast U.S. in a new tropical wave sliding into Trinidad and Tobago as we go throughout the day today and into tomorrow. So we're covering that. But you see this flare up here on the Pacific side. The development most likely, though, will be on the north side, Bay of Campeche up to the north. Much of Mexico is still dry, but this big surge of moisture is going to lift into parts of Louisiana, Texas, and Mexico, and it is just parked over parts of Guatemala and El Salvador and even parts of Nicaragua. So if you're dealing with the flooding, this community is thinking about you. This is a weather community. We have a lot of subscribers here. Put where you are, what's going on. You'll get some love in the comment section as we go throughout the day. But that is just a big situation here with that rain. We do not need a named system in the tropics to have a life-threatening flood situation. That's what we're seeing now. There's been some rain near the Cayman Islands, close to Jamaica. There's that next tropical wave moving in. And this disturbance up here to the east of the Bahamas, that's going to start to drift off toward the west. I'll cover the European and the American models, the rain totals, and what all of the models, or at least the big ones, are saying for both of these areas in this video. Now look at this rain. This is off my chart. This is just the next 3 days. So today, tomorrow, into Wednesday, and you can see this white shading. That would be even that black shading in here. That's about 150 millimeters of rain or 6 inches of rain. But many of these spots, parts of Mexico too, extreme eastern sections of Mexico over toward Guatemala, we're looking at 300 millimeters of rain or more, upwards of even 400 millimeters of rain. So we're looking at a foot of rain, 12 to 18 inches of rain, trying to use both scales to help you out. So this is that core of rain squeaking into Nicaragua. Keep an eye on Honduras, extreme western zone, some of that very extreme rain around. Can't stress that enough. And we're going to continue with that flood threat over the next few days. So I wanted to go over those totals immediately. So here's the overall area we're watching. So much moisture in Central America building back toward the Gulf of Mexico. And then this here is the tail end of a front. I often talk about those. It's leaving some moisture around. The front will move away, but that moisture will kind of stick there, and then it may try to develop some. So this is today. This is the European model. Here's Florida, Cuba, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, get towards St. Lucia, Puerto Rico. We're going to have a better chance of some of those afternoon storms today, kind of hit or miss in Jamaica. Now, as we go over the next 24 hours, this area over here will start to spin up. Now, it's looking like a broad area of low pressure. We're going to see a lot of rain lifting toward Louisiana, Texas, and then Mexico. But I do believe somewhere in here, especially back toward the Bay of Campeche, we're going to see an area that will start to spin up. We're starting to see a focus now of some rain and storms, and that's what the aircraft, the hurricane hunters, may get into today. So kind of a big swirl, but there could be more of a main swirl with this. And then this area here, no signs of development in the short term, but that's going to start to, as I mentioned, break free from the front. And then as we work our way into Wednesday, you can see the moisture swinging back toward the Bahamas. So let me stop it here. This is Wednesday. We have all of this rain here, Mexico, especially on Wednesday, in parts of Texas. Southern Texas, yeah, we need the rain. Northeastern sections, not at all. So we're going to watch out for that big flood threat and continuing back through Central America. And then we watch this area of high pressure up here. I talked about in yesterday's video how that acts like a fence or a barrier, and that doesn't allow this little area to get out. So this area starts to march its way off toward the east, or rather that would be to the west, and it gets closer to the Bahamas and Florida, but still no organization. Now let me bring out in time here. This is by Thursday morning. The European model is trying to show this spin here. It could be a tropical depression or tropical storm. I do believe this will become a tropical storm, and it would get the first name of the season if it does so, and that would be Alberto. So I do believe we'll get a tropical storm here. And then you see the rain here. Still not organization, but as this rain marches its way toward the southeast U.S., anywhere from the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, northern Bahamas, there is that very warm water in there. So there is a slight chance it spins up. Let me just take you out in time here. This is on Friday. Not seeing signs of development on the European model in this area. It was this area that I expect a tropical storm to develop. But on this model, and I'll show you the American model, they both show so much moisture, anywhere from Jamaica back toward Belize, still around by late week, that there could be an additional spin up of something by the time we get into the weekend or next week, which this is normal. There's always areas to watch during the hurricane season, and these spots, kind of hot spots. I mentioned how right in the Bay of Campeche, there may be a spin developing here. And the water temperature is 30 degrees Celsius, 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind shear should relax enough to allow a tropical storm to develop. And then here's that Gulf Stream, the very warm water here. So while the models aren't picking up on a lot of development as this approaches the southeast U.S., it will be over some warm water. So there is a chance of some development, and that's what we're watching. Now, as far as the seas go, we're going to see things building. Meters here, and that is feet there to try to keep you covered in both areas. And both areas in the tropics will be bubbling up. You see in the Gulf of Mexico, we're looking at about 4.5 meters as far as some of those waves building. So we're upwards of 10 plus feet, and then they're going to build further. This is about 5.5 meters, and this is by Tuesday, but also the choppier seas as we work our way back here. So we're looking at about 15, maybe 16, 17 feet here, and over here a couple meters as you get toward the northern Bahamas. So we're looking at 7, maybe 10 feet depending on the development there. But this is important. If you have any boating interest, thinking of you, thank you for sharing this across your community. And then as we work our way into Wednesday, still the elevated Gulf of Mexico, and still watching over here back toward the southeast U.S. to see if anything does try to develop. A little bit more of a chop by the end of the week in the central and western Caribbean. That's with the leftover moisture in that additional area that I'll be watching for some development. Now here's the American model, very similar to the European model, and you see all of this rain here and watching Central America for that flood event. I'll zoom down over here in just a second toward Trinidad and Tobago, but you see this rain, it surges up to the north initially, so back toward Louisiana, it just kind of gets pulled up into this direction, and then watching over toward the Houston area for another high chance of flooding, and then especially as we get down to the south. Now it's hard to find a spin here, but by Wednesday there should be some sort of development with this, watching the intense flooding in Central America. And here's the other area that will be approaching the southeast U.S. like the European model, not showing organization, but that could bring increased rain to parts of the southeast U.S. And then right there, here's Jamaica, Cayman Islands. Heads up in Jamaica, I'm going to be watching later this week. We could have some heavy rain nearby. We'll see if it's on top of us or just back to the west, so watching us in the Cayman Islands. And this is that second area of rain that could eventually try to spin up as it lifts to the north, closer to Cuba as we work our way into the upcoming week. So this area, I do believe, will become a tropical storm, not just looking at the models, but the environmental conditions there. The European model has at least a tropical depression, kind of borderline tropical storm. The American model has this as a tropical storm. The Canadian model has this as a tropical depression, and the ICON model has this as a tropical storm. So it's favoring to get a name, to be developed, and to bring in some of the flooding. I don't expect the winds to be super high out of this. We'll cover that in upcoming videos, but it is an area that will bring that intense flooding in some locations. Now, as far as this area goes, that area of high pressure moves off just a touch. This kind of may bring the rain up toward the Carolinas or Georgia, but the European, American, Canadian, and ICON all are saying, hey, this is not going to be a named storm, but kind of behind the scenes, what I was showing you, I know it's going to go over the Gulf Stream, those very warm waters. So if anything's organized enough, it could actually spin up as it approaches or gets on top of the Gulf Stream. That warm water is its fuel. So the first name on the list is Alberto. Most likely it would be what's going on in the western Gulf of Mexico. If that does get a name, then Beryl and Chris. after that. Now, there's another tropical wave that is approaching Trinidad and Tobago today. This one isn't a big blob of rain, much like we're seeing over here. So Cayman Islands, yeah, back toward the Yucatan of Mexico, Belize, Honduras. I mentioned the life-threatening flooding in spots. This here would be more scattered. So Grenada, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, more in the way of scattered showers. Now, another thing we're going to see with this tail end of the front up here in the kind of heat building throughout the day, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, some afternoon storms are going to become more likely. If you get stuck in one of those, that could lead to some flooding. This is as we work our way into our Wednesday afternoon. And then you see right here near Nicaragua, Costa Rica. And by the way, watching, we have several islands through here, Providencia, San Andres. There's others. I'm going to watch out for the flood threat too. But this is that rain on Wednesday that will eventually also start to build up to the north. And you see Puerto Rico, that chance of some of those afternoon storms. So these are scattered storms in Cuba. But look at this, moving back toward Texas, especially South Texas, where we could have some of those totals upwards of over a foot of some rain, so making those flood preps, and then eventually some of this could swing back into Mexico, where we do need some of the rain, but when it hits the higher terrain and we have that runoff, that's going to lead to some of that flooding. Then we swing back here, Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, even the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. This is more in the way of those afternoon storms. Cayman Islands, though, we could have some spots over 75 millimeters, 3 to 4 inches of rain. If we get some rain in Jamaica, we're going to be on the edge of rain for about the next week, where more of it could be to the west, but we'll see if that surge of moisture late week starts to move our way. Spotty showers and storms, and you can see not a washout, but Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, if you get into a thunderstorm or see a repeat shower, we could have over 75 millimeters of some rain. But this here, jumping back here, I mentioned some of the afternoon storms, and I kind of wanted to highlight this, where we could get some of those areas that would flood in parts of Puerto Rico. This batch here, maybe over here, we'll see. But some spotty showers and thunderstorms will be possible. Now, the bigger picture, you can see this is the front that's going to leave, and it will leave that leftover moisture. And then all of this moisture, there's really nothing blocking up here. That's why this moisture is getting pulled up to the north, even getting up toward Louisiana. Some bigger storms up toward the northern sections of the U.S. today. So initially, that moisture will lift to the north, and then we'll be watching to see if that spin does develop right here, which I do believe it will. So you can see on the bigger picture, and then you see the leftover moisture here south of Bermuda. That's the other spot that I'm watching that will march its way off toward the southeast U.S. So this here is on Wednesday. See some of this rain moving in, but I do believe there'll be more just down to the south of there. Still heavier rain in Central America. And there we go as we work our way toward the end of the week on Thursday, just monitoring that area off the coast of the southeast U.S. And then on the top side of it, not as much the next few days as we get to the Atlantic region of Canada. Bigger storms at times over toward the Great Lakes. You see that there, parts of Quebec, but then we're just looking at isolated to scattered showers today, tomorrow, and this here is on our Wednesday. The system's kind of fizzling out some as they approach. So Jamaica, watching out for some isolated today, but a little bit more scattered later in the week. Tomorrow up to about a 50% chance of some storms. Let me know what you're getting across Jamaica. Cayman Islands, that rain chance though is certainly elevated. We had some rain last night. Let me know what you're getting. Trinidad and Tobago, as I was showing you, with that tropical wave moving in, we're going to have some scattered showers and that chance of some thunderstorms. Same thing as we work our way through Barbados. St. Lucia, the next 2 days, about a 40% chance. Grenada, about a 40 to 50% chance of scattered showers with a tropical wave moving in, and a 40% chance St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 30 to 40% chance in Martinique, 40 to 50% chance in Dominica. Could get a thunderstorm too. 30 to 40% chance in Guadeloupe, and a 30 to 40% chance the next 3 days Antigua and Barbuda. So the rain chance up slightly, 20 to 30% chance St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, and a 30 to 40% chance Anguilla and St. Bart's. Rain chance about 20 to 30% in St. Martin, Saba, and Statia. And there's that higher chance in Puerto Rico, not all day, but watching out for some of those thunderstorms. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, we could have some of those showers around. Let me know what you're getting. 30% chance across the Bahamas. And as we work our way into the Turks and Caicos, rain chance starting to go up off some, not a washout, but a 30 to 40% chance. Scattered storms, some heavy with isolated flooding in the Dominican Republic. Isolated storms possible across Haiti, otherwise very hot. Belize, that elevated chance of rain. We had some flooding yesterday, watching over toward Hopkins, Ladyville, Belize City. I'll monitor. You let me know too what's going on. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, not much as that tropical wave near Trinidad starts to get closer, generally on the weakening side. And then you see that a higher chance of rain still, or at least elevated chance of rain, Guyana and parts of Suriname, about a 60 to 70% chance the next couple days. 40 to 50% chance in Cuba, some afternoon storms again around Costa Rica and Panama. Not quite as much in Panama, a little bit more in Costa Rica, and then a lot more to the north. So we are thinking of parts of Nicaragua with that flooding, and a 50 to 60% chance of rain in Honduras, especially well inland. We'll see that chance of some flooding, but Guatemala and El Salvador, that's where a lot of it has been. Thinking of you, dealing with this flood event that could last 4 days. Mexico City, not much, bumping up on Wednesday, and about a 70% chance the next couple days in the Yucatan of Mexico. We could get some areas of flooding with some rain as that tropical system tries to develop. Colombia, about a 20% chance, 30 to 40% chance in northern Venezuela, and not as much as we work our way over the next few days as we get into Bermuda. So the life-threatening flooding, I was highlighting the parts of Central America, that area of development in the Western Gulf and Bay of Campeche that should become Alberto. Also monitoring that spot just to the east of the Bahamas. Some development is possible. So it is very active. I really hope you're safe. Thank you for getting the word out to your friends and family, especially if they're in these zones with some of that intense flooding over the next few days. I hope you have a good rest of your day.